Put your shirt over the top. Good. You can tell. You can tell. Yeah. Thanks for the idol.
Hello everyone, Bandit here, and once again we are back with the most ingenious moves in Australian Survivor Part 3. You may have thought I would have ran out, but no sir, my creative juices are flowing, which sounds a lot weirder out of context than I imagined. Today we're going to be looking at 5 ingenious moves that happened in Australian Survivor. Without wasting any more time, let's get into the video. At number 1 we have David in All Stars, who we have covered last video, but this time we'll be covering his final 8th move. At the previous tribal, Jackie flipped on the majority alliance, causing Zach to get eliminated as part of a field split vote plan. This gave the minority 3 an opportunity to survive, as thanks to Jackie they had 4 votes. If they could win the Rocks tiebreaker, then they had the majority at the final 7 and onwards. David, however, essentially gives the blueprint for how to win a rock scenario on Survivor. Firstly, he wins immunity, which is always a boon in a situation like this, as now he doesn't have to draw a rock. Secondly, he has an idol, and as I've covered in an older video of mine, outlining how to win the rock draw on Survivor, it's always important to play your idol. Sure, David could have kept it until the final 7 and idled someone out, but he still ends up 3-3 at best. To set himself up for a better endgame, he needs to win this situation. So, when JLP asks if anyone has an idol, David stands and plays his idol on Tarzan.
Tonight seems as good a night as any. I would like to play this for Tarzan. There you go, big dog.
Thanks, brother.
Now, I've seen people discrediting David for not playing the idol on Moana, but this guarantee preserves his best friend for the final 7 who won't betray him. Something that Moana and Sharn showed last episode they were fully capable of. The vote ties 4 on Jackie and 4 on Moana. This again is another ingenious move by David, as by targeting the clear 4th in an alliance, it means the core 3 of AK, Brooke and Shawnee are more incentivized to flip either on the revote or when it comes to rocks. After the revote ties 3-3, it goes to a discussion phase where if the individuals can't reach a unanimous decision on who to eliminate, then they must draw rocks. Because of David, Tarzan and Moana's immunity, it means only Sharn is at risk of being eliminated. Compare this to the other side, where AK, Brooke and Shawnee have to draw rocks with a 75% chance of losing the round for Jackie, a proven flipper. Eventually, the minority 3 throw in the towel, and everyone reaches an agreement that Jackie should be eliminated. From this move, David then continues to run the season by pagonging Shawnee, AK, and then Brooke when she isn't immune. It was thanks to this move that David was so successful in All Stars and kept in the numbers. At number 2, we have the woman on the thumbnail, Samantha. This move comes from the final 11 on Blood vs. Water and really shows how underrated Sam is as a Survivor player. For context, Jordy found an idol clue on a reward and stuffed it into his brother's Jesse's pants. Jesse reads the clue and finds the idol, but is found while reading the idol aloud by Sam. Sam and Jesse were a bit of a power duo, and ever since the merge, Sam had reclaimed Jesse back from Chrissy, who had, seemingly against his will, adopted him. There was a move in place to blindside Jordy, but he won immunity, so everyone, including Sam, figured it was best to target his brother Jesse. The issue for Sam is Jesse had an idol. Sure, she could still blindside him with it in his pocket, but she takes it one step further. When coming across advantages, people often try to hide them on their person. Jesse stuffs the idol down his pants, but this is when Jam's geniusness strikes. She tells Jesse she can see a massive bulge, If he walked back to camp, the tribe members would quickly deduce he's either really happy to see them or has an idol. Jesse, even though he has his own eyes, agrees reluctantly with Sam that his idol is bulging out and tries to put the idol down the back of his pants. Sam then cuts him off and offers to take the idol for him. She'll hide it under her towel. Nobody would know, and after all, they were best friends forever, so Jesse could trust her. By lying to Jesse about his inability to hide the idol, Sam gets Jesse to give him the idol, throwing away his form of protection and blindsiding him that tribal.
Jesse went home at tribal council. I somehow managed to get the idol in my possession, and I voted him out with that idol in my pocket. Perhaps it's one of the biggest moves that the Survivor franchise has ever seen.
Even as a cherry on top, after he's voted out, Sam convinces him not to rat out her idol, despite being lied to by her. Jesse has his torch snuffed and doesn't call out Sam for her idol. It's good to know only one person on this cast is capable of that beyond the grave targeting. Swiftly moving on to number 3, we have Australian Survivor 2017. This is the first tribal for Samatau, which had some crazy dynamics. Both Adam and AK were acting suspicious by searching a remote island for an idol. Everyone on the show assumed Adam had it because he had a clue obviously outlining where the idol was. So much so in fact that Lockie calls him out for it.
Didn't all add up. It was like Adam, the clue was so easy to find, like you couldn't not find it, and him not finding it.
That's so obvious, like you wouldn't just leave.
In reality, AK had the idol, and at the first tribal played it on Jared. The uninitiated may wonder why AK played it on Jared, someone so solidly in the majority, but that's exactly why he played it. Survivor is a social game at its base, and when you're someone on the outs like AK, you have to tug yourself back into the core group. By playing the idol on Jared, he was showing a willingness to burn his advantages to prove his loyalty, all while ensuring Jared wouldn't be affected by any stray votes from this tribal. I know people say AK was dumb for playing his idol on Jared at the first tribal and could have used it to protect himself on the new Asunga 3.0 tribe, but my argument is that AK would have never reached the swap had he not played his idol on Jared. After the first tribal, AK and Jared are able to talk it out, resulting in AK being an integral number to the majority and even becoming a swing vote at both the Kate and Tarzan tribal councils. Essentially, AK trades one tribal of immunity for a solid majority alliance that sees him through 6 eliminations. Do you really think without playing the idol on Jared, AK would have been kept by the majority alliance, considering he was untrustworthy and playing too hard? Heck, people were gunning for him the very first tribal. See what I did there? We've seen many successful idol plays on other people in Survivor, but AK's intention was never to save Jared from the votes, but to use his idols as a bargaining chip to get him into the majority, and he more than succeeds at this. At number 4, we're going to Brains versus Brawn and the merge. At this tribal, there was a divide between the Brains and the Brawns that had also flipped over Cara and George. Because of this, the Brains tribe were in the minority, and although Hayley had an idol, she needed to know who to play it on. Enter George, Chaos Incarnate, who witnessed Kez finding a hidden immunity idol that episode. Due to her newfound power, George wanted to flip the game on her, and so decided to get Hayley to idol Laura, while still acting like they were with the Brawns. In a pretty epic blindside, Kez was eliminated from the game, but then makes an ingenious move. International Survivor seasons have a reputation of being a bit blurred on the boundaries of what a player can and can't do, and Kez exploits it. When she's standing up, hugging others, and about to get eliminated, she slips the idol to her closest ally, Flick. This move is great, and considering Flick is holding the idol up happily later, it's clear production was okay with it. It's a masterful move by Kez that allows her to bestow power to an ally. We see many people on Australian Survivor getting voted out with idols, but imagine how game-changing it would have been had they passed it on. Imagine if Henry gave his idol to Lockie in the 2017 edition, or imagine if David gave his idol to Luke in Champions vs Contenders 2. It would have changed the course of those games. Although Flick eventually ends up wasting the idol as Gerald is blindsided, Kez's move is still successful and something that has massive implications for the future of the franchise, in my opinion. At number 5, we're returning to Australian Survivor 2017 with Luke Toki, the Jungle Boy, who with his buddy Jericho concocted perhaps the craziest blindside the world has ever seen. Because he's twice the size as anyone else left in the game, Lockie has targeted this tribal, but in fear of an idol, a split vote is enacted, causing votes to be put on Tara.
On Tara?
There's six of us.
Oh, you don't want to split?
If he has an idol.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
okay.
That makes sense, right? So, boys on Lucky, girls on Tara, and the numbers will work.
People weren't sure if Ziggy would be with them, even though eventually she was, and made it a 3-3-3 vote, but with Ziggy voting Lockie, it made it 4-3-2. So, that's it. No. You see, Luke was pretty well known in the season for wanting to do things his way, irrespective of if it actually made sense, such as him trying to vote out Kent at the first tribal, and trying to save Mark after blindsiding his would-be wife. Because of this, Luke tries to take the opportunity to snipe Tessa out of the game, who orchestrated the Henry blindside last tribal, and won immunity. She was a big threat, but Luke only had him and Jericho. 2 wasn't enough in this situation, but Luke goes to Sarah and gets her to flip her vote. This is even more hilarious, considering both Lockie and Tara voted Sarah this tribal. What occurs is perhaps the weirdest voting results, with a 3-2-2-2 vote that sends Tessa of all people out of the game.
2 votes Lockie, 2 votes Tara, 2 votes Sarah, 2 votes Tessa, 1 vote left. 16th person voted out from Australian Survivor. 4th member of our jury, Tessa.
I've never seen one man manage to blindside 6 people on a tribe of 9. This is the only time a number of 3 has become the majority this early in the game, without advantages or game twists. Despite getting out one of the biggest threats in the game, Karma eventually catches up to the trio, as Sarah and then eventually Luke were voted out back to back. While this does suck, the story does have a happy ending, with Luke returning as a champion on Champions vs Contenders 2, and this crazy move he solely orchestrated was a fundamental aspect that aided his return. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments if I missed any ingenious moves, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an upload. As always, thanks for watching, have a great day, and peace!